What's up, everyone? Welcome back in to our next video. Hopefully the quality, the sound, the zooming in and out is a lot better on this video than the first few videos. So yeah, let's jump right on into this next step, which is step 4 of the starting your Airbnb business process. And this is step 4 of 10 steps. So if you made it this far, you know that we've already talked about getting funding, right? Which is the number one part of this business investment, right? Is having the proper funding. If you don't have the proper funding, once again, make sure you guys are subscribed to my budgeting, getting investment ready, right? Because your investment is not going to be ready for you until you're ready for it. So make sure you guys are tapped in with me there to get in with the free resources for getting investment ready, right? And now it's time to start thinking about who we want to serve, right? So just like in any business, you want to make sure that you know exactly who you're serving, because if you don't know who you're serving, then you're kind of just throwing rocks at the wall, right? When you know who you're serving, it's easier to target them, it's easier to market to them, etc. So for me personally, I am marketing to and serving in my niche travel nurses or traveling professionals, digital nomads, right? We're in the remote working age where everybody or most people are working from home and being able to kind of travel leisurely. So that is the type of crowd or type of traveler that I would like to market to. And honestly, I think it's a great market, a great niche. So if you're not sure who you want to market to, I always recommend at least having that the travel nursing, right? Travel nursing is not going anywhere, right? If you're not familiar with what travel nursing is, it's basically when nurses travel across the country to different hospitals. And this was peaked in the COVID area because so many nurses were needed on staff in places specifically like where I live in California, New York, those high viral areas. So travel nursing became even more popular, more so to host than anything, because travel nursing has always been around. So that's going to be a great place to start. And once you kind of hone in on the travel nurses, then I will also recommend having secondary niches as well. So with the travel nurses, there are platforms like Furnish Finder, which is, in my opinion, the number one platform to find professional traveling nurses. So I will probably do another video showing you guys how to work and operate that platform. But they have an app, and they also have a regular website that you guys can go to. You can search for the top cities that are where travelers are going. So they have really good tools, which is probably why I'll do a separate video to show you guys how to look at those tools and use them in your market research, just as we talked about in the last 2 videos. So another niche is going to be military families, right? So depending on where you live, for instance, I live in Inglewood, California, where there's a Los Angeles, the Air Force base is 15 minutes from my house. So, marketing to military that is, coming on assignment for 3 to 5 years will also be great to provide housing for military families. Typically when, there could be single travelers, but there can also be families. So it really just depends. But if you live in a military city, it'd be a great niche to kind of take part of, right? So there are websites. I will link those websites where you guys can go to find military families. I will link those below. There's also a platform called FedRooms for military travelers. Now with FedRooms, there are several of other boxes that you need to check, because that kind of goes into like the government contracting piece of this business. With FedRooms, You guys can go find them on LinkedIn. So just go search Fed Rooms, join their group, and they put out communications, but they open up their platforms for you to be able to host on Fed Rooms, I believe maybe twice a year. So right now the deadline is July 5th. So if you're watching this on or after July 5th, then I just would recommend going on to LinkedIn, tapping in with them so that you can go on and figure out when they're going to open up the window again for hosts to be able to list on that platform to advertise to military families. Another niche that you guys could tap into is going to be insurance companies. This is another great way thing to tap into. So using the platform Furnish Finders that I was telling you guys about before, there are insurance companies that go through Furnish Finders, but also you could be tapping in with these insurance companies directly, right? So there's a few companies depending on where you live. So this one is going to be, I don't know any global ones, but I would recommend maybe Googling some insurance companies in the city where you're going to be having your unit, and they're going to have their own individual platforms where you can reach out to points of contact. Some of them, I have several of my units actually listed on insurance websites, that when families are displaced, or let's say a pipe burst or the roof caved in, whatever the case may be, their insurance will cover for them to find a house or a property that is compatible to the one that they're already in. So let's say they're in a 2-bed, 2-bath home and you have a 2-bed, 2-bath apartment, then yours will probably qualify for them to go over and stay with you for the next 3, 6, 8 months while their home is being repaired. So it's a very lucrative niche to make sure that you guys are taking part in, okay? And then the fourth one I want to tell you guys about is going to be the airport, the airline staff, right? So your flight attendants, your pilots, when they are coming in and out of their flights and their assignments, right? Sometimes they're looking for places to stay. Now, this niche can be a little bit tricky because most of the time they're coming in a few days at a time. So this could be really great when you're listing on Airbnb. But if you're using other midterm rental platforms like Furnish Finder, Fed Rooms, more military, other type of niches, you can also maybe partner, make contact with the airport, your local airport, to discuss maybe shuttling, and just partnering with being able to advertise to those airline employees. Another great way to reach airline employees is going to be through Facebook groups. With the airline crew, they have a big culture, and it's called like crash pads. So let's say you have a 2-bed, 2-bath, and you have 2 bunk beds in each bedroom. That's 2, 4, 6, that's 8 people that you can house at a time. And because it's a crash pad, and because they're coming in such short stints, like 1, maybe 2, 3 days at a time, it's going to be, a little bit more fluid or transient with the traffic. But that is a niche that's really, really niche down. But just know, like, if you have that bunk bed and you choose to get into the airline employee niche, that it may be difficult for you to transition back and forth between the airlines and the nurses or just regular vacationers and travelers, because you're just going to have a house full of bunk beds. So just keep that in mind, but it is a niche that is worth looking into. So take that with you. But yeah, so for this 4th step, I want you guys to really start thinking about your niche, your target community outside of travelers, right? Because Airbnb Verbo, obviously you're going to be targeting more travelers, vacationers, in and out, more transient traffic. But with the midterms, or longer than a few days stay, with the nurses and the digital nomads, the military families, is really great for, let's say, if you work full-time like I do. I love hosting in those midterm travel spaces kind of off and on. So if I'm not listing on Airbnb, I'll get a nurse or a traveler a digital nomad in my property for, 30 to 90 days, it allows me to take a break. Right? Again, especially if you work full time, it will allow you to take a break from having to monitor your phone every 3 or 4 days, or really every day, because on Airbnb, guests check in, they have issues that you have to account for, and there's a lot of other things that can be taking place that makes hosting short term 100% of the time a bit of a nuance. But if you have time, great. I've done it and been successful, but I personally also like the idea of being able to take a break and having guests in my properties for 30 days or longer, where I don't have to be by my phone and monitor it so much. So that's it for this video. Again, in this step, we're talking about niches. Everything that I mentioned is not all encompassing. There are other niches out there that you guys can research and kind of get into, especially depending on the industry that you all work in. There could be a need in your respective industries where you work as well. So just think about those, write them down. Feel free to comment or message me on Instagram. I always answer if you have questions about your niche in the communities that you want to serve. All right, I'll see you on the next video.